Yo, welcome back to the Trippy Show. It is time for the paranormal news. If you have any of your own sightings you want to share here on the Trippy Show, just dial up 1-888-69-BUBBA, 1-888-69-BUBBA. Catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 p.m. on Bubba Army Radio IO. We do recommend you follow the Trippy Show on Facebook to get all the best links and stories as we try to cover the world of the supernatural. A lot to cover. Our last paranormal news segment was last Friday, and since then we've had some very interesting sightings. We have some UFOs, and Mike broke off the show today with a lizard man sighting.
Yeah, we have some really trippy news coming out of Bishopville, South Carolina, spotting actually a sighting of the lizard man. A picture was taken of the lizard man as someone was leaving church in Bishopville.
Okay, credible source.
Yeah, so I want you all to take a look at this picture here and tell me what you think. Honest opinions.
Okay, it looks like an old episode of Power Rangers.
Oh my God, straight up from Power Rangers, man.
Yeah, it's. I believe we have run into a man in a lizard suit.
I'm not so sure. I mean, yeah, that's the first inclination, but look at it, guys.
This guy looks jacked, man.
This would be a very well-done suit, and as K-Mac said, it is bigger, so he has to be a big guy. We do have a video. We'll see if that's anything worth watching. But it's one of those things where, we'd all sit here on the Trippy Show and point out, hey, this is definitely fake, and then a week later comes out that it was captured and it was confirmed real. So maybe we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Raspo, you saw it. What do you think?
Man, this, I gotta say, out of all the things we've talked about so far, this looks to be the most credible thing we've ever discussed on paranormal news.
We've covered a ton of UFO sightings.
All right, look quickly.
We have a video here, Raspo.
You have to look in the far back. You hardly see it, and the video ends.
Oh
really? So they had to freeze the frame.
All right, that's terrible.
I think I saw it.
That's probably the worst video I've ever seen. It shows nothing.
Well, obviously the guy felt this creature near him. He sensed him enough to break out the camera and take a quick
Thing's
picture.
like 100 yards away.
But they were able to freeze the frame and give us the one shot that we have. And it is a good shot for what it's worth.
They've got some really good technology, man. This is some serious zoom that they did on this.
We've heard the tale of the lizard man as well. I mean, he was from a place called Scape or Swamp. And now we have the lizard man of Lee County, South Carolina.
Yeah, now the lizard man has been seen by a lot of residents since, like, 1999.
Oh, really?
Or, excuse me, sightings actually date back to 1988.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So this has been ongoing.
Now CNN's breaking the story.
I met a real-life lizard man. He was a guy that used to do, he cut his tongue down the middle.
Yeah.
And he had, surgery done to where his skin was lifted up, around his eyes. He looked like he had, scales on him and shit. And I saw him at, Universal Studios once, and he does a bunch of crazy shit, he'll hook, a hook through his arm and hang some shit from it. Just really weird
I thought
stuff.
you were going to say he does things that lizards typically do.
Didn't he do, the sword
he does have, the crazy
tongue.
tongue.
He maybe eats ants and, I think that guy, Lizard Man, he was definitely a lizard in a past life, and now he has reincarnated into a human being. This is real, guys. I'm pretty sure.
Raspo, I mean, we have some very serious quotes. This is not a joke. This is completely serious. This is, as Mike said, something that has been cited for a long, long time, dating back to 1988, right after we were born. Here's a quote by the sheriff. He says, "You think it's a joke, but you look at the damage to the vehicle, it's hard to say." They're looking at a recent attack on resident Bob Rawson's minivan.
From 2008, but...
2008. It's recent.
I mean, I would like to see what happened to his minivan. That'd be interesting.
It was crushed. I'm sure you can find plenty of pictures. It was savaged, as they said. Pretty interesting story here. We have quotes by the sheriff himself telling us that they've had to deal with this thing for a long time. I mean, since 1988. That's definitely crazy. K-Mac, any last words on the lizard man? We'll keep people notified if this thing comes back in the news.
Hey, I mean, Matt, if you're right and he was a lizard in another life and wants to be a lizard now, I mean, Bruce can be Caitlyn. This guy can be a lizard, right?
Most definitely, dude. I'm with you on that.
I think we'll sign off with this story to say it's probably 99% sure that it is not real. This thing definitely looks like a costume. I'm looking at the eyes, and that's the biggest sign of a costume for me. Raspo, what sightings do you have for us for the show?
So I have a couple UFO stories that are very, very intriguing.
Really?
So one of them being that a UFO was reportedly seen at the International Space Station, and there have been claims recently that it is now being monitored by aliens. There was a pink object of a light color. It had a pinkish tail, and it was in one of the shots in a NASA footage video.
Really?
As it panned across space, all of a sudden we see a pink object fly just for a millisecond right across the screen. And people are saying now that the ISS, International Space Station, is monitored by extraterrestrials. What do you guys think?
Fuck. We've seen a lot of different comets and different pieces of debris flying through space. That's one of the reasons why we say, you know, we're pretty authentic with paranormal news, because we read all of the legit stories that come through. And I've not seen something that looks like this at all. This pink-colored comet, this is unique, K-Mac. Have you seen anything like this?
Well, I mean, we haven't seen anything like that, but we did see another video from NASA where there was like 4 or 5 things taken off. Oh yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
Look on the screen right now. So
Yeah, it's trippy.
That's very bright. It's very
I mean, maybe
evident.
it's a comet flying through that's like starting to burn up, maybe.
Mike,
Yeah,
I don't know,
aliens.
they're pretty far out.
I don't
yeah,
think so,
know.
Mike. Aliens are now watching the International Space Station.
Absolutely, they want to make sure we're not doing anything that can harm their operation.
They're
they
probably
have
like,
going on.
you got to stay in your area and don't move outside of the Earth's realm, or else
Right.
you know we're gonna do something.
They're going to
Correct.
zap us.
You think they would have destroyed the rover thing that we sent to Mars?
Then maybe they did. Maybe it's
No,
all.
that
Maybe
thing's
it's
still driving around, doing its thing.
or so we think. We are looking at the latest MUFON reports as well. I used to live in New Mexico. There were UFO sightings there all the time, and the latest sighting was basically by a Las Vegas resident, and they saw a rectangular-shaped UFO. It was just 10 feet off the ground. This was testimony in case 68545 from MUFON, if you guys want to check that out. But the event occurred at about 10:10 p.m. This was July 23rd of this year.
Wow.
Las Vegas, New Mexico. And the quote was, "We were heading up our hill, and at about 15 feet from the top of the hill is when they saw it." And once again, a rectangular-shaped UFO, only 10 feet off the ground. I gotta say, I've seen some strange things in New Mexico. I believe it.
Now it's 10 feet off the ground. Is it any coincidence that it happened at 10:10 p.m.?
Oh, boy.
Oh man,
I think there's something going on,
Trippy.
guys, with that
And I
number.
think at 9:10 p.m. they were taking hits of acid.
Wow, only took an hour for it to kick in.
Heading
Huh?
up the hill.
Just started. It went from just an alien thing to all kinds of weird shit. And they don't
once
remember
they
the rest.
got to the top of the hill, they saw the alien
Well,
or the UFO.
I could tell you guys, in
the
New
peak.
Mexico, they are doing so much acid, but they are doing a lot of peyote. So perhaps that is one of the perpetrators.
True.
So getting back to them taking out a rover going to Mars, I don't think that's true or they took it and they sent us this picture. But Matt, you had sent this over that there's a picture from the rover that's on Mars that someone spotted as they were looking through, and it straight looks like a woman is walking on Mars.
Yes, there was. This is from the great website UFOSightingsDaily.com. And what they said here is that from this picture of Mars, it looks like a little woman, that the being is about 8 to 10 centimeters tall. And it says, quote, "Yes, one such species is known to exist that small." And they talk about the Apollo 20 mission where astronaut William Rutledge said inside the cigar ship in the Deporte crater
What?
moon, he saw glass tubes on the walls with tiny human-like skeletons in them about 4 to 6 centimeters long. So that could possibly be what this
Damn.
is. It could be just a very tiny little woman.
Well,
There-
because this thing has its own shadow coming off it. So it's like, you can see a shadow coming off that rock. And it looks like a woman, but it looks like she's somewhat like transparent. It's almost like a ghost image.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Man.
If it's anything, it's a ghost, but I feel like it's
Ghost
just
on
some
Mars?
sort of weird variation of sand and rock.
I mean, how
It
many
could
times?
be, but I mean, the shadow coming off the rock is what I'm looking at. Like, if it's a perfect shadow.
But
like,
if it was a rock, it would still have a shadow. You know?
oh, you think this thing's sitting up as a rock?
Yeah, I do. Or something. Maybe some kind of reflective material. It's tough to say.
It's pretty interesting.
Do you think it's an act? I mean, it's not a person. It would have to be a ghost, if anything.
Or an alien?
Yeah, I mean, it's
A
not
species
it's not
that's
a
living on this
human
planet?
being
No, it's not a
because
human.
we know you can't survive
And it
on
almost
Mars.
and it's looking straight at the rover. Like, it's looking straight at it. Like, it sees it and it's looking
Yeah,
at it.
I think it's definitely some sort of geographical anomaly that just looks like a being for some reason.
Or something that got on the lens of the rover.
I mean, we
I
talk
agree.
about extraterrestrials all the time on other planets and on other space bodies in space, but how many times have we talked about a ghost possibly?
it might not even be a
being there?
woman. As I look
Good
at
call.
the close-up image, it looks. I mean, it could be like just a thing. It's like a weird. It's kind of a weird shape, but the top of it definitely looks like kind of like a human person.
The other theory that I have is that it could be a human being astral projecting to Mars while they're sleeping. I'm just saying.
Possibly. That's some Inception shit right there. But the one thing this does remind me of, I gotta say, is the face on Jupiter. It seems like something very similar to that. If we can continue to take pictures of this same formation, maybe in different locations, that would be proof that it's something else. But look into the face of Jupiter. There's some really crazy shit going on there. And I think that'd be another thing that maybe lines up if we start to see different faces and formations. Maybe there are ghosts on other planets.
Yeah.
We've always been covering the ghosts here on Earth.
Well, I mean, NASA just signed a $490 million contract with Russia for space travel because our own government would not fund it. So now NASA has stepped out of our country, got Russia's backing. So there's something going on in space that NASA now, apparently, they've been able to talk Russia into paying for it. There's something out there that they want to find, obviously, because they want to straight up start doing space travel, and NASA signed a huge contract with Russia to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not good considering apparently Russia just hacked us and took our information. They put an elaborate hacking scheme onto us. That's something we're researching here on the Trippy Show.
Yep.
But at least we're still partnered up with them for space travel. That's always good.
Yeah, I guess we get along. We're all, chilling up in the space station together.
Mike's got a high-definition picture up of this ghost formation. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to determine if it's geographical or something else. I mean, honestly, it looks like it's geographical.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
He does have a very high-definition picture up, so it's definitely a good way to tell if that's a ghost. I feel like if you would know, it'd be pretty apparent when you're looking at all of the different rocks right next to it.
But at the same time, it almost looks like it's on top. I don't know. It almost looks like you can see the texture of the sand underneath, something on top, like a shadow over the sand, the texture of the sand. So it's almost like it's on the actual photo itself that the anomaly is.
Yeah, that's definitely a good story you found there, Raspo, and we got to pay attention to this one going forward. If they find more pictures on Mars, we're starting to learn more about Mars every day, and we will be sending Mike there very, very soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned
I'll
for
have to
updates.
take a look at that.
Yeah, updates for that here on the Trippy Show and our paranormal news segment. Wow, we still have a lot to get to. K-Mac, there's so much